Hey everybody, welcome to FoundFlix. On this Ending Explained, we'll be looking at the techno horror sequel Unfriended Dark Web, unfolding entirely from a laptop's POV. If you're familiar with the first Unfriended, Dark Web isn't really a sequel in the traditional sense. So if you were hoping for justice for Laura Barnes, the girl who pooped her pants and became a vengeful spirit in the first film, you're out of luck. Dark Web is a sequel in only the sense that it uses the same visual computer desktop of the first to tell its story. And rather than anything supernatural, this time instead goes for the real horrors of the internet, because the real-life dark web is 1,000 times more troubling than what we saw before. If you haven't heard of this forbidden corner of the internet, it basically is referring to the part of the internet that can't be accessed by search engines. So you can't go typing dark web into Google and get access. It's an underground layer beyond what we normally interact with every day, allowing access to things like illegal weapons, murder for hire, and so much more. And it's better to just stay away, as we learn in Unfriended Dark Web. Or a kid or adult, hard to tell, named Mateus randomly steals a laptop and unwittingly gets not only himself, but his friends dragged into the furthest and most dangerous reaches of the internet, the aforementioned Dark Web. Mateus's friends are totally hip and tech-savvy kind of cats, so rather than interact in real life, no thank you. They have a game night that takes place over the internet via Skype, where they chat a bunch of annoying BS and play Cards of Humanity. This is the future, ladies and gentlemen. Lifelessly choosing cards while sort of interacting with people you vaguely recognize over webcams. What's perhaps even more bizarre than our ever-evolving definition of social interaction is that Unfriended Dark Web features two entirely different endings. In a marketing stunt I can't recall seeing since the Clue movie all the way back in 1985 that boasted 3 endings. And if you kids haven't seen Clue, it's actually hysterical and quite clever. Check it out. Anyway, with Dark Web, when seeing it in theaters, you have no idea of which of the 2 endings you are in for. Though based on my research, yes I did research, it seems like there's one ending that is more or less the main ending, or at least seen by the most people, and the one that I saw as well. Though we will be looking at both to make sure you guys know both possible outcomes for the hapless victims. So let's venture into the darkest corners of the internet with Unfriended Dark Web, breaking down the story and what happens in both endings. Things begin seemingly innocently enough, being greeted by the laptop screen display that we better get used to looking at, since we never leave this POV, where Mateus, who again stole this laptop, attempts to log in, finally cracking the passcode with a simple question mark. As he checks out the desktop, we learn the mysterious original owner was someone called Nora C. IV, and they seem pretty popular, as Mateus is quickly flooded with Facebook messages from girls hounding him with questions about promised plane tickets. Sure seems like this Nora was into some shady business dealings, but Mateus brushes it off, and at least his reasoning behind stealing the computer was with good intentions. Needing a more powerful PC to work on a translating app called Papaya, he created to be able to communicate with his deaf girlfriend Amaya, using pre-recorded videos of sign language strung together to complete sentences. After logging into his own social media accounts, Mateus joins his friends for an online game night, which is sure to be an absolute hoot with his lineup of pals. There's AJ, the conspiracy theorist YouTuber, who even though we see has 8 million subscribers, still lives with his mom. Hey, that's not cool, man. I haven't lived with my mom in months. There's DJ Lex, who we know is a DJ since she's surrounded by musical equipment and laptops and all kinds of other crap. Damon, a computer super whiz, and the only one not in the same city as the others, currently in London. And finally couple Serena and Nari, aka Pequeña Muerta from Purge election year, who surprised the others with the news they're getting married. Yay! Too bad they're not going to be making it to those nuptials on account of being dead. On Facebook, Mateus continues getting messages from girls, but one, Erica Dunn, becomes increasingly aggressive, revealing that she is actually Nora C., demanding their laptop back. Mateus admits his mistake and immediately gives in to return it until noticing a folder on the desktop. But before he can dive in, gets another message for Nora in an old school DOS looking chat system from a user Charon68, discussing a video and asking if they received payment for it. After questioning them for specifics, they mention trephination, or drilling a hole into someone's head and putting stuff inside. Yeah, as Damon realizes that Nora C is just Charon backwards. So Nora C is actually Charon 4, Charon being in reference to the mythological creature that guides the souls of the dead head to their underworld via the river Styx. Returning to that folder, they discover inside several videos of kidnapped girls, each video tagged with their respective addresses. He checks the final video, seeing a girl sleeping in bed, while a kidnapper enters the room and looks up to face the camera before the video ends. And connecting the address in the video, Mateus learns that a girl was recently kidnapped from that address, Erica Dunn, showing us the Charon are definitely the ones that took her. We soon see just how much power they have when Mateus tries to call Amaya, instead getting her roommate. The screen goes black for a moment and a figure stands behind her, attacking and knocking her out, shoving her in a closet. The hooded man, whose hood seems to actually cause digital interference to obscure his identity further, returns to the webcam, again demanding his laptop back, revealing that he is watching everything Mateus says and does, even able to make his messages delete after being sent. Wow, these guys really know how to hack the shit out of the internet in improbable and confounding ways. He lays out the rules for Mateus to follow, having to get Amaya to come to his apartment, as well as to not let any of his friends leave the call or they die. After some convincing, Amaya does leave for his place, but how can he be sure that Charon 4 will follow through? So he makes a rash and ultimately incredibly stupid decision to drain the entirety of Charon 4's cryptocurrency account, worth approximately $10 million into his own. Well, I'm sure that won't piss him off or anything, and Charon 4 immediately calls, upset with him for his actions. But he's actually more concerned because it brings the attention of the rest of his crew, known as the Circle, a group of super hackers, all using variations of the Charon name as their usernames. They pull Mateus into the river, referencing the mythological thing again, which here is a message board that is part of the dark web. They already know about Mateus's transaction, and Charon 4 is forced to reveal his face and recite the group's creed so neither of them get killed. And for a moment, it seems they have escaped retribution from the Circle, but it turns out that the opposite is true, as they set their sights on Mateus and his friends, starting by hacking into their chat, just as the Spirit of Laura did in the first. But again, this time it's real hackers, not computer ghosts. And they post a video to the chat, seeing Lex standing on the edge of a roof. Then a distorted hooded figure, another Charon, pushes her over the side to her death. The group is horrified, and during a brief loss of signal on Charon 4's end, Mateus is able to reveal everything going on to the others, and how he is being blackmailed to keep Amaya alive. Reeling from hearing this, they consider what to do, but the Circle proves themselves consistently several steps ahead of the group, seeing them pull up videos from AJ's YouTube channel and chopping bits together to make it sound like he is going to shoot up the mall, and uses this to call the police. This call was actually placed 10 minutes ago, so it's already too late to stop. As the police arrive, everyone urges AJ to stay down, but he doesn't listen, ascending the stairs hoping to talk to the police. But the Charons play a shotgun sound through his speakers, making the police think he is armed, and they blow him away as his friends helplessly witness the whole thing. Nari has had enough of idly watching her friends get killed and sneaks off on her own to get help from a friend on the police force. But of course, even out in the rest of the world, the Circle have an eye on things, as a video feed of Nari waiting at the train station pops up on screen, as well as another showing Serena's mother on life support at the hospital. They then force Serena to choose one to live. As the time ticks down, she emotionally begs them not to do this, though she probably should have just picked one, as her time runs out and both are killed. Nari pushed by a Charon in front of an arriving train, and her mother's life support being turned off. Moments later, another member gets to Serena at her house and kills her off screen. So rather than only one of them getting killed, all three do. Probably should have just let her mom go since she wasn't going to get better, but that would still be a tough choice. And chances are they would just kill them all anyway, no matter what she decided to do. Amaya happened to be on the same train that killed Nari, who has now finally arrived after doing nothing the whole movie, causing Mateus to ride off after her. Left alone, Damon threatens the Charons watching, telling them he's been recording everything, but they show us once again how powerless the kids have been the whole time, enacting the final steps of their plan. First, replacing a frame from the video seen earlier of kidnapping Erica, photoshopping Mateus's face over the man's, as another Charon brings Erica to his apartment. She wakes up, confused, screaming for help, seeing she does have one serious hole in her head, complete with some dodgy special effects to boot. And Damon realizes this was their plan all along, to frame Mateus for their own terrible wrongdoings, actually wanting him to take the laptop to incriminate him, as well as planting evidence like the money in his account and putting Erica in his closet. Everything seemingly proving Mateus and his friends are wholly responsible for the kidnappings and killings, which gives Damon the opportunity to, upon realizing this, shout, "We've been doing everything they wanted this whole time!" Yeah, very observant, Damon. They're not quite done yet though, as a Charon takes over Damon's computer and pins a suicide note expressing regret over the crimes they supposedly committed, while another member breaks into his home and hangs him, killing Damon. It's around this point point that the movie's ending split into two different directions. In the version I saw, Mateus witnesses everything Damon does, still tied into the chat on his phone while frantically riding on his bike to meet Amaya. But when he arrives at their predetermined meeting spot, she's not there. Amaya explaining that based on a call from him, she went somewhere else than originally planned. Those dastardly Charons using his own translating app to call her and change the plans without him knowing. And based on the odd industrial setting Amaya finds herself in, is the same location seen earlier in the tapes, as another hooded figure emerges and snatches her, most certainly intending her to be their next victim. Meanwhile, Mateus is just kinda sitting there watching this whole thing happen, not moving or anything. And we pull out from his perspective, showing us the real game night that has been going on, with Mateus and his friends as unwitting victims for the Circle's twisted purposes, seeing someone watching everything from several monitors. They put out a poll to others in the group, asking them to vote whether Mateus should die or live, and overwhelmingly they vote to kill him, with something like 24,000 votes, indicating how huge the Circle and its game of death really is. And instantly out of nowhere, a van strikes Mateus down while he, again, just kinda sits there and does nothing. It was pretty silly, that's for sure. So in this ending, no one makes it out safely in the end. And in the other ending, things turn out slightly differently for our final survivors. Rather than there being a last-minute location switch to meet Amaya, Mateus arrives to the spot where they first kissed, finding a casket in an open grave waiting for him. A Charon surprises him and knocks him unconscious, then cutting to later when Amaya makes it there, and the hole has already been filled. Mateus has been buried alive. She tries to contact him, but when he attempts to respond, the Charons hack his messages to appear as, "I wish I could sign better." He tries to video chat with her, but they distort his mouth so she can't read his lips. He desperately tries to continue to reach her, as again we change perspectives to that of the Charons watching on their video screens, amusingly watching Mateus suffocate and futilely beg for help. So either way, Mateus doesn't make it to the end credits, but it is curious to leave Amaya's fate up in the air in this ending. Are they just going to let her go after everything, just because she wasn't needed for the cover-up since maybe she wasn't part of the video chat? I don't know. This feels less conclusive than the ending I saw. And I do like the aspect that an omnipotent audience to the story of the movie vote on Mateus's ultimate fate, really showing us how powerless they have been this whole time, as well as innocent Amaya ending up as their next victim of kidnapping. It's more tragic that way, I suppose, instead of leaving what happens to her as a question. Alright, that'll do it for this Endings Explained on Unfriended Dark Web. No matter the ending, the message is clear. The internet is a terrifying place of untold darkness and horror, and everyone should be afraid to even check their Facebook, because a ridiculously highly skilled team of hackers could be watching and controlling your every move, and using you as a pawn in a sadistic online game. But I suppose as long as you don't steal computers from cafes like Mateus, which is a total dick move, you might be able to avoid the fate that he suffered along with his friends. What did you guys think of Unfriended Dark Web? Did you like it better than the first film? Which ending do you prefer, and which did you see in theaters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.